live, share it to tap, share it to the different groups. I'm gonna start speaking shortly. Share the live, please. Is everybody hearing me okay? So, overnight we had another murder. And before I begin, let me just say this. I think the crime situation in Saint Lucia is at a place where every Saint Lucian, both at home and abroad, need to raise our collective voices to speak about the situation, the crime situation that's happening in Saint Lucia. Every Saint Lucian at home and abroad needs to be concerned and needs to raise our collective voices, because we are not hearing anything from the officials about crime. There's seemingly no action on the, or no clue, no plan, no action, at least not one that's communicated to us about how the authorities intend to deal with the crime situation happening. And I think as citizens, both at home and abroad, we have a duty to speak about the crime, to raise our voices, to sound the alarm, to hold our officials accountable, but to also hold our society accountable. I'm not here to place blame on any one person or any one organization or any one institution. The situation of the crime in Saint Lucia is a collective. We as a society overall are to blame. We as a society overall are to blame for where the country finds itself today regarding the crime situation. And I will explain. So last night, overnight, we had another murder. We had 31 murders for the year. 31. A small country with a population of 180,000 people are at 31 murders for the year. And thank you, Irvin Springer, because you are the one who keeps us updated with what's going on in the crime situation, the murder rates, because we're not hearing anything from the press. All of a sudden, they've stopped telling us how many murders we're at. And not that the number of murders are anything to glorify or to politicize or to, it's sad. And it's sad when a human life becomes a statistics. It becomes just another number. It's very sad. But thank you, Irvin Springer, because you have consistently, you and others, there's some others as well, but you have consistently raised your voice and spoken about the crime situation and holding the police accountable and holding the society accountable and holding the government accountable. You've been consistent. And that's the consistency we need. That's the fairness we need. That's the information we need coming out from our citizens. And I have always said, as citizens, we are the ones who hold our society to account. We hold our society accountable for everything. Crime, so many things. The economy, it's us. It's us. And if we are not advocates for our country and our society, both Saint Lucians at home and abroad, our society is going nowhere. And you know, our diaspora, we have a very, very engaged diaspora. Saint Lucians are living abroad are very much engaged with what is happening at home. We've left the country, but we've not turned our back on our country. We have probably a most vocal, most visible, most active, most contributing diaspora I've seen. We're very much involved in the thick of things, like as much as anybody at home. As a matter of fact, I think we have somewhat of a better vantage, you know, having been away or being away. We have the ability to see both sides, and we have the ability to take almost like a bird's eye view of what's happening at home. We need to add our voices collectively with what's happening in the crime situation at home. It may not be at our door, but it's at the door of our loved ones, at the door of our friends, our families, our community. As a society, that's not what we want for our country. 31 murders for the year so far. And we're on trajectory to pass last year's numbers of 74 murders. We're on track to do it. Last year was a record-breaking year for murders. 74 murders for a small country like Saint Lucia. And this year we're on track. The track we're going on, we're trending to surpass that murder rate for last year. And like Irvin Springer said, the weekend hasn't even started yet. The weekend hasn't even started yet. We've had about I think we've had 4 murders and 5 shootings in the last 4 days. That's a track we're taking as a country. That's where we're heading as a country. And not a word from the officials. Not a word from the officials about the crime situation. Not a plan. Not a plan. Even one of their own has said if she wants half the way the last government responded to COVID, she wants half of that leadership in response to the crime situation. Half. She's not even asking for the leadership that was displayed in the management of COVID under the former government. She wants only half of that level of leadership in the management and the addressing of crime. Not a word. St. Lucians, the tone we as a society, the tone the police, the tone the government sets about crime, everything flows from there. Everything flows from there. I'll address a couple things. I will address the society first. As a society, what is our position on crime? Examine ourselves individually. How are we contributing to the crime situation at home? How are we? Are we enabling criminality in our homes, in our communities? Are we enabling criminality in our homes and in our societies? And the root of crime starts with indiscipline. The root of crime starts with indiscipline. If we are not raising our children to be disciplined, how do we expect them to grow up? Discipline is the first thing you have to instill in your children for them to turn out to be positive, contributing members of the society. If we are excusing poor behavior from our children, what do we expect? No longer are we taking our children to church. No longer are we taking our children to church on a Saturday or a Sunday. The church has an important role to play in the socialization of children and raising them up to understand their role in society as productive members of the society. The family does, the church does. We've lost our way. We're not taking our children to church anymore. The lack of discipline in the home. We excuse criminality in our homes and our communities because we benefit from it. And when the police try to do something, we justify, we abuse the police. Look at our homes. Look at our communities. Ask ourselves how we are contributing to the society that we are today. I saw a live video recently where the police came to the police had some guys on the ground and were searching a vehicle, and I saw a young lady with a camera in the police's face doing a live, berating the police. I mean, where in anywhere else would that ever be allowed to happen? Where? When the police try to do their jobs, we contribute to that. You cannot have it both ways and expect the police to be able to do their jobs. And when they're doing their jobs, you are berating them, abusing them, assaulting them, demeaning them, undermining them. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot call on the police to do their job, and then when they come in to do their job, you are up in their face berating them. Even if you're not aware, or even if you're not in favor of how the police is handling the situation, they have different means to address it. But to be jeopardizing the scene of a crime, and the police, yourselves, you go and do whether it's an arrest or search, whatever it is, secure the crime scene, secure the scene. I've seen so many videos of people fighting with the police. People fighting with the police. People up in the police's face with cameras, cursing at the police, demeaning, intimidating, undermining the police. Really? Really? First thing you do is secure the scene. Get everybody to go back, to stand back. And if you don't have sufficient officers on the scene at the time, let me tell you, set a strong tone, set a strong message. You go back the next day and get them, arrest them. That cannot be happening in Saint Lucia. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. That cannot be happening in Saint Lucia. You have people undermining the police like that and nothing? Even if you don't have the manpower to take them down the same day, go back for them. Last year, I think it was last year, the COVID curfew. That's what Kakal did. Officer Kakal, I forget his real name. When he went to do an arrest at some bars for guys who had their bars open and music playing during COVID lockdowns. Oh, they tackled him, they abused him, all of that. What did he do? He went back the next day. He sent a strong message, and that is what the police have to do. Send a strong message that there's an intolerance of crime in the society. And as we as a society, we need to go back to the fundamentals. National pride. Where's the national pride? Where's the discipline at home? There's a reason why we held national independence rallies as kids growing up, and we waved our little flag, our little Saint Lucia flag. These things invoke a sense of national pride in people and in the country. National pride is very, very, very important because people understand their role as citizens. They understand their place in society. They understand the reason why they have to contribute to the society in a productive, disciplined way. We have to raise the level of national pride in the country. We have to raise the discipline in our homes. We have to go back to the church and raise our children to understand, even if you're necessarily not spiritual, but these things, it's the glue, the cohesion that holds the society together. When we have lost that, we have lost our way. And we as a society have lost our way. We try to excuse or justify too much criminality in our homes because we benefit from it. We benefit from the proceeds of crime. I'm going to go to the tone the government sets. Let me tell you, in Singapore, chewing gum is illegal. Chewing gum is illegal. And there is an intolerance for any level of criminality, even chewing gum, down to the most basic thing as chewing gum. You know why? The tone that is set from the top is what the society follows. If you set a tone that there will be no tolerance for any crime, no matter how little it is, perceivingly little the crime is, the society will get in line. But when there is not that tone from our leaders, what happens is that the society descends into decay and criminality, which is exactly what we are seeing now in Saint Lucia. And let me say this. What is the tone this government is setting when it comes to crime? What is the tone they have set? What are the subliminal messages they have sent to the society regarding their position on crime? What is the tone? First of all, have you seen them say anything about crime? Have you seen them come up with a plan? Have you seen them make any hard, decisive, strong statements or actions? Have you seen that? What have they done themselves? What message have they sent? As soon as they came into power, what did they do? They expunged all the COVID records. All of them. Once you do that, you send in a message that criminality, that the breaking of the law, etc. will be tolerated. It will be tolerated. Once you do that, you have set the tone right there. They shot themselves in the foot right there. All COVID, every country had to impose public emergency orders or powers so that people stay at home for the management of COVID. Okay? Every single country. The last government put in place law and order, curfews, etc. for the management of COVID. People who broke the laws got fines, etc. This government came and sent a message to the Saint Lucian public that criminality will be allowed. And if you're on our side, your records will be expunged. They shot themselves in the foot, and everything else from that flowed from there. Everything else flowed from there. You have a government minister, and let me say, this government also, the other thing they do, they reward criminality. They reward criminality and social deviance. This is what this government does. Reward criminality and social deviance. You have a government minister who was High Commissioner in the UK, who, by his own admission and by his lawyer's own admission, engaged in a whole heap of shenanigans, a whole heap of maneuverings, jumping through hoops, getting people to do this, to do that on his behalf, to evade taxes, using the government of Saint Lucia's name and position to do it in order to enable him to do it. And what did we do? What did this Prime Minister of Saint Lucia do? What did he do? He went to court to interfere with the judicial system and the judicial process. That is what this government has done. So what is the message you are sending to Saint Lucians? That if you're on our side, we will support you, we will defend you at all costs. You will not be paying for your crimes. As a matter of fact, we will elevate you. They have elevated him to the post of Deputy Prime Minister. This is what the tone this government has set when it comes to crime. That is why they cannot get a handle on it. What are they going to come to Saint Lucians and say now? What are they going to come and say when they are perpetuating, endorsing, contributing to white-collar crime? You have another person who has basically been fired from his job, a previous job, for theft by virtue of employment. Okay, I quite agree. People can reform. I quite agree that anybody who has committed a crime, we're not going to hold over their head for the rest of their life. If they're reforming, we're going to give them a fresh chance at doing good in the society, etc. But when you have these characters, continuing to perpetuate these crimes, even going as far as threatening to kill somebody, and what your response is? To elevate this person to the face of a government ministry, to make them the PRO or the PR officer, whatever the role is, make them the face of a government ministry. What message are we sending? Aren't we sending the message that we are endorsing criminality? We are elevating? No longer do we have a society that holds criminal and deviants accountable, where they understand their social consequences, including ostracization. A society that will hold them accountable. We are telling the criminals in society, you will be protected. You will be protected. As a matter of fact, not only protected, you will be elevated. You will be promoted. We hero worship the criminals in our society. We hero worship the criminals in our society. Look at a lot of the people heading up the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations in Saint Lucia. Look at who they are. Look at the characters heading up a lot of the NGOs in Saint Lucia. Look at them. I'm not calling no names because y'all know who they are. Y'all know who they are. If you have to be honest with yourself, you know very well who they are. Look at the characters heading up our NGOs. And they're not reformed. They're not reformed. They use these NGOs to continue their criminality. In the middle of COVID, you had two of the characters using their COVID passes given to them by virtue of the NGO they belong to traffic drugs in Saint Lucia. But these are the people we hero worship. These are the people we put on a pedestal. These are the people we look up to as the heroes in our society. These are the role models for our society these days in Saint Lucia. We have lost our way as a society. That's why I say we are all to blame. From the government, the police, the society, in our communities, the church. We have lost our way as a society. Where is the role of the church? Where is the church? How many pastors or priests you hear speaking out about what's going on? You have a priest, Father Albert Smith, speaking out about different things in the society, making the gospel relevant to the society. But what we do, we want to hate on him, we want to insult him, we want to attack him. He's one of the few that are making the word of God relevant, bringing the gospel alive and making it relevant and applicable to what's going on in the society today. But where is the church in what is happening today? Where is the church? Are you all asleep at the wheel? Or are you just there collecting your tithes and your offerings and billing more billings to yourself? Where is your role in the society and being involved in the fabric of society? Come out and add your voice to what is going on in the country. You cannot stay silent. You have a role to play. The church, wake up, wake up. You have a role to play in what is going on in the society. You are very much an important part of the fabric of the society. and keeping the society together. Church, wake up. The schools. When I grew up and the generations before me, we had teachers who cared. We had teachers who cared about the discipline in the schools. We had old school teachers. We had old school teachers who cared about the discipline. And we still have some of these teachers today who put their heart and soul into their jobs. There are still many, many teachers like that out there. My former schoolmate, Kajana James, in the OJ school, she comes to mind right now. I see her putting her heart and soul into ensuring these children grow up well, not just in terms of academics, but well-rounded, disciplined students, loving, nurturing them. Where are the old school teachers today? Are y'all just there collecting a salary? I'm not saying all of them. There's still a lot of good teachers out there. A lot of good teachers. But there are also a lot who don't care. But the school has a role, our education system has a role to play in holding our society together. In the level of discipline, enforcing discipline, in the proper socialization of children, of our children, so they understand how to grow up to be productive citizens of the society. The school has a role to play. And again, that national pride, it comes in the school, it comes in the home, but the school has a big role to play in that level of national pride. Again, events like our independence, our national day, emancipation, you know, talking about their role as in the society. The school has the education system has a huge role to play. But what is the government going to be doing about a level of crime? It's out of hand. It's out of hand. It's out of hand. I heard, I posted it the other day, where somebody said to me that they're not going to be coming to Saint Lucia, and well, they had their vacation booked for Saint Lucia. But you know, people monitor the news and everything when they're planning to go to a country. They've joined social media groups that pertain to the country, like I Love Saint Lucia. They follow the news of what's happening in the country. They keep up to date because they're planning their vacation planning, so they stay up to date with what's happening in the country. And the news coming out of it was in Saint Lucia is not good. It's not good. Person said to me that they had to cancel their vacation and go elsewhere. When I travel, that's what I do. I stay abreast of what's happening in the country. I listen to the news. I follow their blogs and so on, so I know what to expect when I get there. And the same thing for Saint Lucia. So you have potential tourists canceling trips because of what's going on. But even beyond the tourists, we need to get the crime under control for ourselves. We need to get the crime under control for ourselves. The criminals are brazen. Before they used to break and enter your house when you go on, they used to monitor your house. To wait for when you go to work or leave the house for them to break into your house. They break into your house now with you there and holding you up with some high-powered rifles. And the other thing, where are those guns? How are those guns getting into Saint Lucia? How are those guns getting into Saint Lucia? Between customs, the police, the marine police, we need to do a serious crackdown on the level of illegal weapons in Saint Lucia. We need to I don't even know how the police is going to handle that, but there are too many high-powered illegal weapons in the hands of criminals in Saint Lucia, and that is the problem. All bad boys have guns and access to guns. That is the problem. Where are those guns coming from? Saint Lucia does not produce guns. They're obviously coming through the back door on the open waters. And the marine police, I know it's an expensive job to patrol the borders of Saint Lucia. We have very porous borders in Saint Lucia, meaning that things can get in. And as an island, you basically have your entire landmass. Any illegal boat or whatever can come in illegally without going for a port of entry and going through customs. During COVID, to manage the backdoor traffic coming from Martinique and people coming in without authorization from Martinique, I know the former Prime Minister, the former government had to really step up marine patrols on that backdoor channel from Martinique. So you had marine boats running almost 24 hours patrolling those waters. But the cost of gas and the cost of the engines, because you're running these engines 24 hours, they eventually go bad and you have to replace them. So it's an expensive cost to patrol those waters. But what you had is that not only was that a lot of that backdoor traffic curbed in the management of COVID to protect against people coming without being checked and going through going through isolation, but you also had a lot of that drug running traffic and a lot of that smuggling coming from Martinique curbed because the police were patrolling those waters in a very aggressive way. But we'll need to do the same to control those guns coming in from the back door. But you see, the other thing too is that, you know, I always, and I've said so over and over, I stand with the police. I stand with the police. I believe in law and order, and I stand with them. I respect the police. I don't get in trouble with the police, because when they ask me to do any lawful order, I follow. I have the utmost respect and regard for our law enforcement officers. But there's also a lot of corruption in the police force. There are also a lot of corrupt officers in the police force. The police went and do a sweep in Vieux-Fort the other day. How many guns did they find? I think 2. You know why? From the time up a raid is organized, the bad boys already get a word that the police are coming. They're not around, they hide their guns and all of that. That is the state we have found ourselves in Saint Lucia. We have a police force. A lot of them are corrupt. So it's so difficult for the good ones to do their jobs, because a lot of them are corrupt and the beneficiaries of crime. We have a serious challenge in Saint Lucia, and I'm concerned for my country. I am concerned for my country. From the tone the government is setting, the lack of a plan, the lack of communication around the crime situation, the lack of any decisive action, the lack of any strong statements and not just statements, strong actions. Because I've heard so many statements over the years. We don't need just statements, we need action. We need action on the crime situation. From that to the people they have in their cabinet, the characters they have in their cabinet, the characters this government has in their cabinet. When you could tell me you had somebody who was then a candidate going into the church, disrupting the church service, which is a crime. Which is a crime. Disrupting a church service is a crime. When you tell me you have that person as a candidate, and you continue to run the election with that person, you continue to run the election of that person, and that person is now a minister of government. You don't see this government has a serious problem? They have no moral authority to speak about crime. No wonder they are silent. And they make this person minister of ecclesiastical affairs in charge of the church? What? No, seriously. You don't see Saint Lucia as a joke? Saint Lucia is a joke. Anywhere else, this person would have been removed as a candidate. Removed. But this government elevates their criminals. What did they do? They made him a minister. And to put a slap in Saint Lucian's face, Minister of Ecclesiastical Affairs. We're joking. We are joking in Saint Lucia. You have another government minister who has had issues, arrests, issues of customs evasions, one after the next. The US will have revoked both personal and diplomatic visas. For the US to revoke a diplomatic visa of a sitting government minister, that is a very, 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 very serious issue. Not just his personal visa, a diplomatic visa of a sitting government minister. We have that person in cabinet now. What does that tell you as a country? What does that say? What message does that send? What message does that send? We have a cabinet, so many of them with legal issues over their heads. So many of them with legal issues over their heads. And we know it, but as a society we excuse it. And people tell me crap about you don't need a US visa to be a minister. Was that ever the issue? Was that ever the issue? Was the issue ever about needing a US visa to be a minister? No, the issue's always been about why would the the United States revoke a diplomatic visa of a sitting government minister? And the US has told us that they only do that for specific reasons, and they outline the reasons in the legislation, and we know it. We know it. But we find all kinds of stupid reasons and excuses to justify it. All kinds of nonsense. Oh, he's doing a good job. He's helping the poor. He don't need a visa to be a minister. That is us as a society. We excuse rubbish and crap. We excuse rubbish and crap in the country. That's why we find ourselves in that level of criminality. We elevate our criminals. We endorse and make excuses because they're on either they are our families, they are our friends, we benefit from their crimes, or they are political, they are on our political side. We excuse it. No wonder where we are today. So don't complain about murders. Don't complain about the crime. We are contributing to it. We are very much part and parcel of it. We are very, very much part and parcel of it. We have ourselves to blame. We have ourselves to blame. Look at the government ministers we've elected. No, seriously. So many of them with issues around them. So many of them. And it didn't just start in this government. It did not just start in this government. We once elected a minister of government. We once elected a parliamentary rep for ancillary who has a criminal record in Canada. What are we doing as a society? No, seriously, what are we doing as a society? Everywhere else, these people would not even be allowed to run elections. Or from the minute there's any question mark or doubt or cloud over their head, they are removed from office. But no, in Saint Lucia, we love the criminals. You know what to do? We love them so much. Let's elect them. Let's put them to lead our government. Let's put them to the highest offices of the land. And we expect anybody to take us seriously when it comes to crime. This government cannot even speak about crime without addressing what they have in their own cabinet. They have endorsed, perpetuated, elevated, amplified, rewarded their white-collar criminals sitting in their cabinets. So what are they going to come and say about the street crime? What are they going to come and say? No wonder they have been silent. No, but honestly, I think Saint Lucians, like I said, at home and abroad, need to start speaking about crime and need to start sounding the alarm, raising their voices, sounding the alarms, speaking out, whether it's in their offices, when they're hanging out by the bars, when they hang out by the beach, wherever they are. Saint Lucians need to start speaking about crime, what's happening in the crime, and asking, start soul searching. Start soul searching about how we are contributing to the criminality in Saint Lucia. Start soul searching and start holding our authorities, our police, and our elected officials accountable. And look at how we are making heroes out of the criminals in our society. Watch it. Check yourself. Check yourself. Check yourself, Saint Lucians. Check yourself. We are all responsible for where Saint Lucia finds itself today with this level of crime. We are all part of it. We are all responsible.